Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here today for another episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast, which is a podcast for gamers who don't have time to game. And we're excited to be here today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's a good day.
We're back.
Yes, back again.
Josh, you're going to be really excited about today.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you have a story.
Oh, I do have a funny story.
Okay.
So,
I want to hear your story.
Recently, I've been trying to simultaneously shrink and expand my book collection.
Okay.
I have a problem, Josh. I don't get rid of books.
I, too, have this problem.
And I, much to my wife's chagrin, I just don't get rid of books. Even when I know I'm not going to read them.
Yeah, fair enough.
But recently I got this kick that I wanted to purge some of those books that I know I'm never going to read for the sake of buying some of those books that, everyone should own.
That you're still never going to read.
That I'm still never going to read, of course. But, your Lord of the Rings and your Harry Potters and some of those that you just got to have on the bookshelf, yeah. Right? So, I've been doing that with Game of Thrones. So I purged a bunch of books and I've been trying to buy the Game of Thrones books, which probably fit into the category of I'm never going to read because, video games and movies and everything else, they're just in a giant backlog that I'm never going to get to.
And they're forever long, too.
They are forever long. But that's not the point of the funny story that I had. Well, it's kind of
the point.
The reason that I'm telling that is because I recently went to Half Price Books to trade in several books.
Yeah.
And also look for one of the Game of Thrones books. So I took my two sons with me because my oldest son is getting into Star Wars and he saw this Star Wars book at Half Price Books that he really wanted to buy. So he said, "Can I go with you?" And I said, "Yeah. Star Wars books? Yes, let's go." So we're standing at the checkout. We do our shopping. I trade in my books. I buy a couple books. My son wants to buy a couple books. We're standing at the checkout counter. And my oldest son he points at something and he goes, "Ew, gross." And I look over and what he's pointing at is the DVD box set of Sex in the City. Now, there's multiple layers and levels to my feelings as he says this, because first I find it humorous.
Right.
Then, shortly after finding it humorous, I go, wait a minute. How do you know that that's gross? So just to confirm, I was like, there was two things sitting on the shelf. There was like a binder full of stickers and then the box set for Sex in the City. And I was like, which one are you pointing to? So he actually walked over and put his finger on it. And I was like, okay. So I waited till we got in the car. And that by itself is funny. But then I started asking him, I'm like, so what's gross about that? And he was like, that first word that it had. And I was like, yeah, all right. I'm thinking do I already have to have this conversation? Am I already there in my dad life? And I was like, okay, so what do you know about that? And he was like, it's like grown-ups kissing and stuff. And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, well, what else is it? And he's like, that's all. It's just grown-ups kissing, and it's gross. I'm really glad that's all
that's all that he knows. And
he knows right now, but I'm just not ready for that.
Right, no. And well, you shouldn't be.
But it was funny because he pointed right at it. I was like,
that's
gross.
Very funny. That is very funny.
So, yeah. That happened to me, and now I'm trying to figure out when that conversation has to happen.
Yeah, no. You it's coming sooner than you want it to.
Yeah.
And sooner than later, that's gotta come up. But that's really funny that, do you remember thinking that that's what sex was?
No, that's the thing. That was what was really funny for me. The initial part was kind of funny, but what was really funny for me was his description of it.
Just grown-ups kissing and stuff.
Grown-ups kiss, and it's gross.
Yeah, no. I remember having really, really like weird misconceptions about things involving that, and like anyway.
Yeah.
Different subject entirely than what we're here for, but that is very funny.
It is. It was really funny, and actually when it happened, I was like, I have to remember this for the podcast because
it's an important story for posterity.
It's dad stuff. It's adjacent to neat nerd / geek stuff because I'm buying Game of Thrones books or whatever.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
it all ties in.
It did. It all tied in.
That's great, man. Too funny. So, that being the case, that's our funny story for the week.
Funny story.
And ding, check that box out. So, we are talking about the same game today, Ryan.
We are. We have a very special episode today.
This is a very special episode. However, this episode is 100% full of spoilers.
Yep.
We can't talk about this game without completely ruining it.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
Other than telling you the title, it's not possible.
So, that being the case, we're gonna go a little bit backwards. Ryan, do you recommend that people play this game?
Yes, 100%.
I too recommend
that
people play this game.
Not in front of your kids.
Definitely not in front of your kids. Speaking of mature themes. Do not play this game in front of your kids, but we both highly recommend this game.
You got to play it.
And we're not trolling you when we say that.
No. I thought you were trolling me, Josh.
I constantly tell people, like anytime I recommend this game, I tell people I'm not trolling you. So, all that to say, if you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club, it is a free game on Steam.
Yep.
You can download it for free, and you can play that game. If you want to play it without it being spoiled, stop listening to this episode.
Stop right now.
Stop right now.
Don't listen to anything else.
And go play it. Like, that's what you need to do. So we're going to give you a second to do that. And then...
just stop.
We'll be right back. So we're going to pause the episode, and we'll come back after you've had some time. It's about a 4-hour-ish game. Like, to play through, just straight through one time, it's about 4 hours. So you can go knock it out and come back and listen to this. So go do that right now, and we'll wait for you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Just Monika podcast. I'm Just Monika.
And I'm Just Monika.
But seriously, no. Doki Doki Literature Club. So, I have actually played this game multiple times now, and Ryan played it for the first time. So I want to let you start, Ryan, and I want to get your. I'm excited. I've been really excited for this episode for a long time. I've been waiting.
Our listeners can't see it, but Josh is downright giddy right now. He just is so excited.
I've been trying so hard to get you to play this game.
You very much
so,
have.
As you started, I was like, I can't wait for the text messages to start.
Did I text you a lot?
You did.
I did.
Once the madness started. So Ryan, tell me about your experience with Doki Doki Literature Club.
All right. So I should just reiterate again. From this point on, it's spoiler city, and we're not holding back. We're going to be talking about this game.
We are going to ruin this game.
So if you haven't played it, yeah.
It's on you at this point.
So first of all, Josh, that we were talking about this in our group chat with Matt yesterday or today, I think. This game is not at all what I thought it was. So when I first started playing the game, I was like, did Josh really tell me 100 times to go play this game where you just write poems for girls? Because I don't understand. Why am I doing this? What's the point? And then the end of Act 1 happened, and my mind was blown. I was like, "Oh, this is not at all.
It's not okay.
This is not at all what I thought this game was."
Well, yeah, when your love interest, when you see your love interest hanging from her ceiling fan, it's a bit of a stark,
So here's the really interesting thing about that. I actually really, really want to play this game again.
Yeah.
Because the choices I made in game
Yeah.
She was not my love interest.
Well, right, but
per se,
right.
air quote,
right,
love interest. So that dialogue pops up, and it's like,
I love you,
or you're my best friend.
You'll always be my best friend.
I chose you'll always be my best friend.
Right.
And then when I saw her hanging, I was like, oh, I just killed her.
Right.
What did I do?
Yeah, sure.
And then the game ended.
Yeah. Or so you thought.
Game over. Or so I thought. So I think I actually texted you and said, oh, I killed her.
So
like
what
my choices killed her.
Yeah, what you said. Go ahead and keep talking.
And then I immediately said something to the effect of, "Oh, it wouldn't have mattered what I did."
Yeah, you basically said, "Oh, I don't think it matters what choice you make," and no, because it doesn't, because that's how Act 1 has to end.
Yeah. Which just became more and more clear as I progressed.
Yeah, for sure. So Act 1 ends. And you move on to Act 2.
So I'm thinking like, okay, that's really dark.
Right.
But I had not made choices for her as my love interest.
Right.
So I just kept kind of plugging along through the game, choosing similar choices as I did in Act 1. Because I was like, well, my love interest is still in the game.
Right.
And then my love interest stabbed herself in front of me. I just was like, that's when I really just went crazy texting you. I was like, what is happening? What is going on in this game?
Yes. Oh, man. And that one, so that is another one. Another interesting thing. I don't think that it matters if you try to choose Natsuki in the second act. If you try to choose anyone other than Yuri, I think it still ends up going because I was trying to do Natsuki, and it still ended up.
You got the same scene.
So I don't know if, I was picking all of Natsuki's words, but all of my poems ended up going to Yuri. So,
So I'm wondering something. This is a totally random thought about the game. Does the order in which you share the poems impact anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong on that, but so one of the things with it, there's so many interesting little facets about the game, and it was so you played it on PC, which is where the game is free, where the game originated was on Steam, and you can get it for free there. I actually, when I was talking with you about it, I decided I was like, I really want to play this again, and I had come across the fact that it was available on Switch.
Yep.
But it was Doki Doki Plus.
So it
has a bunch of extra stuff in it.
It's got the extra stuff,
and it's a lot of really cool stuff. So there's some background story that so there's a bunch of bonus stuff that you can unlock by making by playing the game over and getting all of the different scenes, and you'll unlock different pictures and different poems and things like that. Okay. But you also unlock these backstories that kind of tell the story of what led up to the foundation of the literature club, and how Sayori and Monika met, and how the literature club got started. And I listened through, or I watched through and read through one of those scenes, and that was actually kind of interesting, but it is long. So if you're looking to get if you play this game and you get interested in the lore, there is more that you can get to it that's out there available to you.
I think you can buy the plus on Steam.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can.
Because I was how did I come across that? Oh, so I initially installed the game on one computer. My hard drive crashed, and so I got a new computer and I installed it on that. And when I was searching the Steam store, I saw
the Doki Doki Plus.
The Doki Doki Plus, yeah.
Gotcha.
And it was at the time $3 or $4. So
yeah, I paid actually no, it was. So I told you, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I bought
The GameStop story,
the
right?
GameStop story that I told. This was one of my games that I got in that story. So I think Doki Doki was actually the free game that I ended up getting.
There you go.
So
you got it twice and you got it free both times.
Technically, yes,
there
but I
go.
had to pay for shipping if I didn't.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but I didn't have to pay for shipping because anyway.
Yeah.
You can go back and listen to that episode.
That's right.
So Yuri stabs herself, and you're kind of confused as to what's going on.
So I broke one of my own rules about I didn't look anything up. I actually, again, texted you and asked you because you just sit there staring
at her
dead body. And you just sit there and sit there.
And it goes on forever.
And so we didn't really explain, but this game is entirely dialogue driven.
It's all dialogue driven. Yep.
So you either hit your space, well for me, my space bar or my mouse to move the dialogue along. Well, I'm just sitting there and it's like slowly scrolling. Yep. And so I text you and I was like, how long do I have to sit here and stare at this dead body? Like
all weekend long.
So yeah, you shared a helpful hint with me to
there is
speed it up.
Again, pro tip for everyone out there: if you're listening this far and you played the game, then hopefully you knew this. If not, you can go back and replay it and do this. There is a button at the bottom of the dialog box that says auto and skip. If you click on both of those, it will move that along where you don't have to click everything. You still have to sit there and watch the dead body for all weekend in the game, but because the game gets broken because of Monika.
So I don't remember when, but it was sometime before Yuri killed herself that I finally pieced it all together that she's like Monika's controlling the game.
Yeah, well, isn't that that's the scene right before that is where it forces you to
that's right.
To pick
no matter what you do.
No matter what you do, like and that's one of the cool things so we're kind of going through the story, but like the thing about this game, it's so psychological and it's
very cleverly psychological.
And it does things in such like it manipulates your computer. It manipulates its own files in the game.
Literally deletes files.
Now you haven't had the opportunity to do this yet because you just beat it this afternoon and like basically came right over here after beating it to record this episode
straight away.
So if you go and try to launch the game now on your computer,
I did try.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
it won't work.
I can't do it.
You can't do it. You have to reinstall the game after you play.
I had to uninstall and reinstall.
So like the fact. So again, if you haven't played the game and you just wanted to hear, what we had to say about it. This is a complete spoiler, but like the game actually goes in as you play through it and deletes its own files. Like the game deletes itself as you play through it, and then eventually you have to go through and delete a file for one of the characters to kind of finish it off. And just like you said, it's so cleverly psychological.
Yeah, it's very clever the way they.
And that's what really makes it great. Like it's not like if it was just the dialogue and stuff like that. Obviously, like it's not. It's not a great game. Like I wouldn't recommend this game if it just went on like it does. But like the fact that the way that it ends, the way that it all kind of culminates. Yeah. Where it's like, even if you do everything and go in and you have to go into your files and subfolders and delete things. Yep. It's crazy.
And so I don't remember exactly when that point was, but something happened where it dawned on me like, Monika's controlling this whole thing. Right. Like I had sort of pieced together along the way like, there's nothing I could have done at the end of Act 1. Right. And so I don't remember that exact moment, but anyway, another thing that happened was what was it? You were talking about the forces you to choose her.
When it forces you to choose.
I was so proud of myself because there's a point where you can choose her or Yuri, and as you try to move towards Yuri, the mouse pulls against you.
Yes.
I was proud of myself because I actually got it to click on Yuri, and I was like, yes, I did it. No, my entire computer screen just filled up with the name Monika. Yep. So I was like, nope, I didn't do it.
Yep. No. And so when I got the game for Switch, I was really curious because there's so much about the game because it was made for PC.
Right.
It's native PC.
I'm very curious about this too.
So I was so how do you do this? You can't because you can't go in and delete the file because it's not it's not like that. And you can't the thing with the mouse, it can't do that. How does it, what changes did they make to make it so that it would work on a console? And they did some really creative stuff, I think. So there's a virtual desktop.
Okay.
That you can go to, and that's where you have the files and stuff like that. And then the other thing with the where it changes the name and things like that, it just anytime you move up and down on the list, that name just changes to Monika.
Oh, I see.
So and it kind of just flips around where the name Monika is.
Right.
So anyway, so Yuri stabs herself. You wait and watch her dead, lifeless body all weekend.
Yeah.
And then you see Monika, and she comes on.
Just Monika.
And it's just, and then you're just in a room alone.
Yeah. So, something really funny that happened was, you're just in a room alone with her, and if you look behind her out the window, it looks like the world is exploding or collapsing or something. And she has these just random monologues. She'll profess her love to you and she'll actually tell you what she did. She'll even instruct you how to delete her. But something really funny that happens is she has these monologues. So if you just sit there, she'll stare at you for a while, and then another monologue will pop up. And I was telling you what she was saying to me, and you even said, I don't think I've ever gotten that far. I don't think I've
ever made it that far. I've never sat there long enough to, no.
They were pretty funny because she was one of them was she was lecturing me, well, not me, but the player. She's lecturing the student loan crisis and how not everyone should go to college. Some people should go to a trade school. And then, it got to a point where it was funny. And because then I was like, okay, you just killed 2 of my friends, and now we're talking about student loans. All right, sure. So I waited a little bit longer, and she started talking about, what was the next one she did?
The student loan one, I think, was the only one you mentioned to me.
There was one more. I can't remember it now, but I waited one more time, and then after I saw you say you hadn't gotten that far, I was like, oh, well, I don't have to sit here.
Oh, there's the thing you told me about where she said how to put her on a jump drive so that you can carry her around in her pocket.
Yeah, she told me because she professed her love and how much. So one of the things she told me was we can be together forever. And she gave instructions on how to save her on a USB flash drive.
Right.
Then put that flash drive in my pocket so that she could be with me everywhere I went. That one was really funny.
Yeah. So what? So one of the really cool psychological thing that it does is when you first get into that room with her, she calls you by the name that you put in on the
that
in the game, and then it's or do you go by whatever your screen name is?
That creeped me out.
And it's whoa. So for instance, in my playthrough this time, I put my name as what was it, Xerox, I think.
Yeah, it was Xerox.
I did my name as Xerox, but then when she came up, she called me by my profile name on my Switch, and it was so rather than she was like, oh, Xerox, it's just you and me, or should I say my my Switch name. So it's just so trippy.
Yeah, that creeped me out because I think I used my player name as Ryan, I think. But then she said, or should I call you Ryan? And she said my last name.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? I was genuinely trying to figure out
how. Yeah.
Does this game hack your computer? Like what?
I mean, basically, essentially, it takes the information from whatever
So yeah,
from Steam.
It took my Steam information.
From your Steam stuff.
So that really creeped me out, and when that happened, that's when I was like, this game is a masterpiece. Like
it really is
insane.
And that is really like the the game by itself. Like if it wasn't for like all those little pieces.
Yeah.
And there are videos like you haven't been like this game's been around for a little bit of time at this point. At least 4 or 5 years. So like you haven't. There's like an entire world where people have gone through and like tried to explore the files and stuff like that because there's all these things in the game.
Sure. Yeah.
That like. What? Because the game itself messes with the files. Like there's stuff hidden in there.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things about having it on the Switch is that like on that virtual desktop, there are all of these files that are available in there that seemingly lead to nothing.
Interesting.
And like you don't know what it's there for.
Yeah.
Or what it is. And so another funny thing that you can do, and I'm going to spoil this for you, and for everyone else playing, but. If you were to re-download it and you think you're going to be smart and you think, oh, I'll start the game off, I'll just delete the Monika character file at the beginning. What happens is you launch the game and it comes up and it kind of starts off as normal, but as soon as Sayori gets on the screen, it's like she's like, wait, what's going on? Who am I? What am I? What's happening here? This can't be all there is. And then it fades to black and goes and has end spelled backwards, and like kind of mirrored, and it has like the image of her hanging again, just kind of comes into view. It's like so like it's like there's so many little things like that.
Yeah.
Where like you think you can manipulate the game and like no, you can't.
Huh. I actually don't think I would have thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
my initial thought at least was when I replay this game, I'm gonna try different choices.
Sure.
So I guess I didn't even think of I'll just delete Monika.
Yeah. That and obviously I'll be honest, like I did not figure that out myself, but I did it on the Switch, just as one of those things because I couldn't remember what happened. I knew like something happened if you deleted Monika before you started the game, but I didn't remember exactly what. So there's just so many cool things about the game like that, but it can be a challenging game to replay.
I could see that
because like getting into it takes like that first act feels like it's so long.
Yeah.
To get through to the crazy stuff that starts happening. So
if you get through the first act the first time, I feel like the rest of it you can sort of pretty quickly get through.
Yeah. I was surprised in my playthrough this time. I was surprised at how quickly the game ended. At how quickly it was like, oh, we're moving along. All of the weird stuff is happening now.
Yeah.
I felt like there was, when I played through it the first time, I felt like there was more weird things that kind of went on, but it's just how it plays with your head the first time you're playing through it. Like you're just not expecting it, so it feels like there's all this stuff going on. And
I noticed that it was like, for me, maybe not half the game, but it felt like almost half the game I was like having that feeling of, like I told you earlier, like, what is Josh having me play? What is this? And then once the weird stuff started happening, it was like every few minutes. It was like, oh my gosh.
And one of my favorite moments is at the very start of of the second time you start it with Sayori removed from the game.
Yeah.
Like my favorite part is where you're getting introduced into the dialogue. To all the characters, and like the music starts acting weird.
Yep.
And next time you may or may not have noticed this, but if you sit on the screen long enough, the screen like starts tilting, and like it's so trippy, and it's one of my favorite things. Like it's towards the beginning of the weird stuff, and it's just one of my favorite things. I didn't
have the screen doing that, like shifting, but I did have one time where what was it? It was like, it was one of those where, like, you know how, I don't know how to describe it, like it was getting like fuzzy, the background was getting fuzzy, and I had actually stopped to go to the bathroom, and so I left the game and went to the bathroom and came back, and when I came back it was like pulsing almost, like it was doing something different that it wasn't originally doing.
No, and again, that's one of the things that it does. It's just such a good game, and it's one of those games that, like, unless you know people have played it, you can't talk about it, which is so frustrating.
Yeah, this is not a game you can talk about, because
it's so So
I mean, there's 4 characters and I guess 5 if you count yourself.
Yeah,
and 3 of them end up dead or gone. So it's like, you can't talk about it.
Yeah, it's like Bruno.
Can't talk about it. But it's so weird. It's a masterpiece. It's so intelligent.
Yeah, and that's the real thing about it. It's such a smart, like. And again, you feel like when you sit down to play it the first time, you feel like it's a troll. You feel like someone is just messing with your head.
I did, because my actual thought was, someone convinced Josh to play this, and they trolled him and got him to play it. And so his revenge is trolling someone else, getting them to play it. So I'm the person being trolled. I actually had that thought. Like,
I believe you. I 100% believe that you had that thought. Like, you know, and the thing, like,
I actually started plotting who I was going to troll. Like, I had a couple people in mind of who I was going to, like, tell them, you have to play this game.
You have to play this game. It's so great. But and that's the thing. Like, I kind of wonder, like, how many people, like, started it and, like had heard great things about it and just quit playing it.
Yeah.
Or how many people, like, got to, like, one ending and didn't restart it again to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I was telling you, I had a friend that I told, like, he was the first person that I was like, you have to play this game.
Yeah.
He was the first one to do it. He beat it, and then like, he sat down and played through the whole thing in one night.
Mm-hmm.
But the first, like, after a couple hours, like, he texted me. He was like, I beat it. And I was like, Did you really
beat it? Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I mean, she hung herself. And I was like, restart the game.
Try again.
Restart the game. And that's really the thing, like, with this game is, like, if you think you're done with it, restart.
You're probably not.
Like, restart the game.
Because there's
you have to play, like, you have to restart it
3 times, right?
3 times.
At least 3 times, maybe 4.
I think 4, because you do it. Maybe it's just 3.
After Sayori, after Yuri, then you got to delete.
Yeah, then
Monika.
you delete Monika. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 times. Yeah. So another thing, and we're running a little long here, but another thing that I wanted to mention, like, the music in this game is absolutely phenomenal.
It is pretty good.
I love the music, and I especially love Monica's. Like, I really do love Monica's song that she sings to you at the end.
At the end, which is the only
thing with real lyrics in the whole thing.
Only actual voice.
Yeah,
in the whole
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's actually kind of creepy. Like, when you think about that,
it's very unsettling.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
But, like, it's one of those things, like, after you've gone through it all, and then, like, she's like, you restart it, and Sayori kind of becomes evil and creepy, and it's like, I know what you did, and now it's just gonna be you and me.
Yeah.
And then, like, to have Monika come back and be like, no, we're not doing this, and, like, kind of redeem herself as a character, and then be, that song that she sings at the end, I love it. I really do like that song a lot, actually.
Which I actually kept wondering, like, why do they keep talking about
her playing piano?
She kept mentioning the piano, and I was like, what is that about?
Yeah, I'm practicing piano. But one of the cool things with the Switch version is that once you've played through it, once you hear the songs, you can go through. There's a playlist that you can kind of go through and play, so you can like turn it on and just have that music playing. So I can. So now I don't have to play through the whole game. I can just go listen to that song whenever I want to.
There was something else I was gonna mention, but I lost it. Shoot.
I can keep talking about the music, because that's one of those things where like
I remember
I'd go to work the next day and the song's just like stuck in my head
on repeat, like. So when like after I had played for maybe 15 minutes or less, so I saw you play it for about 10 minutes one night.
Right. I brought it. I downloaded it and showed it.
Then I went home and played it for about 15 minutes or less. What happened was. I started playing it, then I got busy playing other stuff, and then I traveled, so I was away from my computer, and then I mentioned my hard drive crashed. So it was like all these obstacles, and so you were like, you have to play it, and I kept promising you, like, I promise I am going to play it. I have every intention of playing it, just stuff kept getting in the way.
Right.
Well, I commented that I was like, I have no doubt that I'll like it, because based on that 10 or 15 minute exposure that I got, I told you, I was like, I'm going to like it because it's a JRPG. And you said, I wouldn't call it that.
Right.
And I was like, interesting, because it's got like the manga art look to it.
Right.
It's got the Asian names. You have to make choices. Like, it's got all the things that I thought, but no, no. It is absolutely not
psychological horror game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Up until Sayori's death, I was even thinking, like, it's not exactly like a JRPG, but it's got a lot of the same stuff. And then when I saw her hanging, I was like, oh, this is not a JRPG.
Well, it's interesting, like, it has that warning at the beginning of the game where it's like, this is not, like, if you have... And so we should have prefaced the episode with that, too. But I guess the game does it. So hopefully, if you have any, like, if you have mental health concerns, like,
don't do that.
Don't. This is not a game for you, and we should have led with that. But the game does warn you at the beginning, and it does so with good reason.
The funny thing is, you and Matt both warned me not to play it in front of the kids.
Right.
And so even that, I had like a wrong idea of what was going to happen, because you said don't play it in front of the kids, and the premise starts out as you're a boy in the literature club with 4 girls, and your character even says something about, like, I'm surrounded by cute girls, and I was like, oh, they don't want me to play in front of the kids because there's sexual content. Nope.
Speaking of Sex in the City, and that's the general assumption. I think going into this game is rated M for mature because of sexual content, but no, there is. I mean. There is some sexual content. There is no,
not visual.
No visual stuff. But there's stuff. But part of it is that it's just a really messed up game. But like it's so juxtaposed and it's done so well that you have to applaud them for it.
And it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Too. It's not like, at least for me, that's how it felt playing through the first time. It was like, it's not like it was leading up to it. Usually if I'm playing a game or watching a movie or something and my kids are in the room, you can usually, this is getting ready to be scary, and I'll pause it.
You can feel where it's going.
Boys, you need to leave the room. Yeah. Not with this one.
No, you have no idea what's coming.
It's like, da-da-da-da-da, you're writing a poem. Boom, there's someone hanging from the ceiling. Like, whoa!
Yeah. No. And again, that's what makes it such a, like you said, such a masterpiece, is because it does kind of hit you out of nowhere. So yeah, like I said, we have run long on this episode, but there's good reason for it, because this game is phenomenal. And you should, if you've played it, you should tell your friends to play it.
You should.
And you have to reiterate constantly that you're not trolling them.
We're not trolling. This is a good game.
This is a great game. It's not a troll, honest. So, anyway, thank you everyone so much for listening to the Just Monika podcast. We really do appreciate it. And, do all the things. Share, especially if you know someone who has played Doki Doki Literature Club. You should share this podcast with them so that they can hear our take, because I think we do a pretty good breakdown of it here. And
we do, and it's like you said, it's one of those games where you can only talk about it with people who have played it. So
it's so hard. And the reason I wanted you to play it so bad is because I wanted you. Like,
I wanted to talk about.
You
this
wanted
game.
to say stuff. I so wanted to talk about this game. And it's funny, like, forget it. We don't have time. We've run long. So do all the things and keep listening. Share, subscribe, like, and we will catch you next time on the Just Monika podcast. Thanks.
Bye.